The perfection of meditation. Having developed enthusiasm in this way, I should place my mind in concentration, for the man whose mind is distracted dwells between the fangs of disturbing emotions. But through solitude of body and mind, no distractions will occur. Therefore, I should forsake the worldly life and completely discard distorted conceptions. Worldly life is not forsaken because of attachment to people, and due to craving for material gain and the like. Therefore, I should entirely forsake these things, for this is the way in which the wise behave, having understood that disturbing emotions are completely overcome by superior insight endowed with calm abiding. First of all, I should search for calm abiding. This is achieved through the genuine joy of those unattached to worldly life. Obstacles of attachment to persons. Because of the obsession one transient being has for other transient beings, he will not see his beloved ones again for many thousands of lives. Not seeing them, I am unhappy, and my mind cannot be settled in equipoise. Even if I see them, there is no satisfaction, and, as before, I am tormented by craving. Through being attached to living beings, I am completely obscured from the perfect reality. My disillusion with samsara perishes, and in the end I am tortured by sorrow. By thinking only of them, this life will pass without any meaning. Furthermore, impermanent friends and relatives will even destroy the Dharma which leads to permanent liberation. If I behave in the same way as the childish, I shall certainly proceed to lower realms, and if I am led there by those unequal to the noble ones, what is the use of entrusting myself to the childish? One moment they are friends, and in the next instant they become enemies. Since they become angry even in joyful situations, it is difficult to please ordinary people. They are angry when something of benefit is said, and they also turn me away from what is beneficial. If I do not listen to what they say, they become angry and hence proceed to lower realms. They are envious of superiors, competitive with equals, arrogant towards inferiors, conceited when praised. And if anything unpleasant is said, they become angry. Never is any benefit derived from the childish. Through associating with the childish, there will certainly ensure unwholesomeness, such as praising myself and belittling others, and discussing the joys of cyclic existence. Developing myself to others in this way will bring about nothing but misfortune, because they will not benefit me, and I shall not benefit them. I should flee far away from childish people. When they are encountered, though, I should please them by being happy. I should behave well merely out of courtesy, but not become greatly familiar. In the same way as a bee takes honey from a flower, I should take merely what is necessary for the practice of Dharma, but remain unfamiliar, as though I had never seen them before. I have much material wealth as well as honor, and many people like me, nurturing self-importance in this way, I shall be made terrified after death. So, you thoroughly confused mind, by the piling up of whatever objects you are attached to, misery 1,000-fold will ensue. Hence the wise should not be attached, because fear is born from attachment. With a firm mind understand well that is the nature of these things to be discarded. Although I may have much material wealth, be famous and well spoken of, whatever fame and renown I have amassed has no power to accompany me after death. If there is someone who despises me, what pleasure can I have in being praised? And if there is another who praises me, what displeasure can I have in being despised? If even the conqueror was unable to please the various inclinations of different beings, then what need to mention an evil person such as I? Therefore, I give up the intention to associate with the worldly. The advantages of a solitary retreat. They scorn those who have no material gain, and say bad things about those who do. How can they, who are by nature so hard to get along with, ever deprive any pleasure from me? It has been said by the Tathagatas that one should not befriend the childish, because unless they get their own way, these children are never happy. When shall I come to dwell in forests, amongst the deer, the birds, and the trees, that say nothing unpleasant, and are delightful to associate with? When dwelling in caves, in empty shrines, and at the feet of trees, never look back. Cultivate detachment. When shall I come to dwell in places not clung to as mine, which are by nature wide and open, and where may I behave as I wish without attachment? When shall I come to live without fear, having just a begging bowl and a few odd things, wearing clothes not wanted by anyone, and not even having to hide this body? Having departed to the cemeteries, when shall I come to understand that this body of mine and the skeletons of others are equal in being subject to decay? Then, because of its odor, not even the foxes will come close to this body of mine, for this is what will become of it. Although this body arose as one thing, the bones and flesh with which it was created will break up and separate. How much more so will friends and others? At birth I was born alone, and at death too I shall die alone. As this pain cannot be shared by others, what use are obstacles from making friends? In the same way as travelers on a highway leave one place and reach another, likewise those traveling on the path of conditioned existence leave one birth and reach another. Until the time comes for this body to be supported by 4 pallbearers, while the worldly stand around stricken with grief, until then I shall retire to the forest. Befriending no one and begrudging no one, my body will dwell alone in solitude. If I am already counted as a dead man, when I die there will be no mourners. And as there will be no one around to disturb me with their mourning, thus there will be no one to distract me from my recollection of the Buddha. Therefore I shall dwell alone, happy and contented with few difficulties, in very joyous and beautiful forests, pacifying all distractions. Having given up all other intentions, being motivated by only one thought, I shall strive to settle my mind in equipoise with shamatha, and to subdue it with vipassana. Difficulties of sexual desire. Both in this world and the next, desires give rise to great misfortune. In this life of killing, bondage, and playing, and in the next, the existence of the hells. For the sake of women, many requests are first of all made through go-betweens. All forms of evil and even notoriety are not avoided for their sake. I engage in fearful deeds for them, and will even consume my wealth. But these very bodies of theirs that I greatly enjoy in sexual embrace are nothing other than skeletons. They are not autonomous and are identityless. Rather than being so desirous and completely obsessed, why do I not go to the state beyond sorrow instead? In the first place, I made efforts to lift her veil, and when it was raised, she bashfully looked down. Previously, whether anyone looked or not, her face was covered with a cloth. But now why do I run away upon directly beholding this face that disturbs the mind, as it is being revealed to me by the vultures? Previously, I completely protected her body when others cast their eyes upon it. Why, miser, do you not protect it now, while it is being devoured by these birds? Since vultures and others are eating this pile of meat that I behold, why did I offer flower garlands, sandalwood, and ornaments to that which is now the food of others? If I'm frightened by the skeletons I see, even though they do not move, why am I not frightened now by a walking corpse, which are moved around by a few impulses? Although I'm attached to it when it is covered with skin, why do I not desire it when it's uncovered? Since I have no need for it then, why copulate with it when it is covered? Since both excrement and saliva arise solely from food, why do I dislike excrement and find joy in saliva? Cotton, too, is soft to touch. But while I find no sexual delight in a pillow, I think that a woman's body does not emit a putrid odor. Lustful one, you are confused as to what is unclean, thinking that they cannot sleep with this cotton, although it is soft to touch. Confused, negative, and lustful people become angry towards it instead. If I am not attached to what is unclean, then why do I copulate with the lower parts of others' bodies, which are merely cages of bones tied together with muscles, plastered over with the mud of flesh? I myself contain many unclean things, which I constantly have to experience. So why, because of an obsession for uncleanliness, do I desire other bags of filth? But it is the flesh that I enjoy. If this is what I wish to touch and behold, why do I not desire it in its natural state, devoid of any mind? Furthermore, any mind that I may desire is unable to be touched or beheld, and whatever I am able to touch will not be mental. So why indulge in this meaningless copulation? It is not so strange that I do not understand. the bodies of others to be of an unclean nature. But it is indeed strange that I do not understand my very own body to be by nature unclean. Having forsaken the young lotus flower, unfolded by beams of sunlight free from cloud, why, with a mind craving for what is unclean, do I revel in a cage of filth? Since I do not wish to touch a place that is smeared with excrement, then why do I wish to touch the body from which that excrement arose? If I am not attached to what is unclean, why do I copulate with the lower parts of others' bodies, which arise from the unclean field of a womb, and are produced by the seeds within it? I have no wish for a small dirty maggot, which has come from a pile of filth. So why do I desire this body, which by nature is grossly unclean? For it, too, was produced by filth. Not only do I disparage the uncleanliness of my own body, but because of an obsession for what is unclean, I desire other bags of filth as well. Even attractive things, such as savory foods, cooked rice and vegetables, make the ground dirty and unclean, should they be spat out after being in the mouth. Although such uncleanliness is obvious, if I still have doubts, I should go to the cemeteries and look at the unclean bodies of others that have been thrown away there. Having realized that when their skin is rent open, they give rise to a great deal of fear, how will such things as these ever again give rise to joy? The scents with which someone's body is anointed are sandalwood and the like, but not that of the other's body. So why am I attached to the other's bodies because of scents that are other than theirs? Since the body has a naturally foul odor, isn't it good to be unattached to it? Why do those who crave for meaningless things of the world anoint this body with pleasant scents? And furthermore, if it is the pleasant scent of sandalwood, how can it come from the body? So why am I attached to others' bodies because of the scents that are other than theirs? Since the naked body left in its natural state is very frightening due to its long hair and nails, its yellowish, foul-smelling teeth, and its being coated with the odor of dirt, why do I make such an effort to polish it, like cleaning a weapon that will cause me harm? Hence this entire world is disturbed with insanity due to the exertions of those who are confused about themselves. When my mind rises above worldly concerns, through having beheld nothing but skeletons in the cemetery, will there be any joy in graveyard cities which are filled with moving skeletons? Furthermore, these unclean bodies are not found without paying a price. In order to obtain them, I exhaust myself, and in future will be injured in the hells. Attachment to wealth. As a child, I am unable to increase my wealth, and as a youth, what can I do, being unable to afford a wife? At the end of my life, when I have wealth, being an old man, what good will sex be then? Some evil and lustful people wear themselves out by working all day, and when they return home in the evening, their exhausted bodies lie prostrate like corpses. Some have the suffering of being disturbed with travel, and having to go a long way from home. Although they long for their spouses, they do not see them for years at a time. And some who wish for benefit, due to confusion, even sell themselves for the sake of women and the like, but not attaining what they wish, they are aimlessly driven by the winds of others' actions. Some sell their own bodies, and without any power are employed by others. Even when their wives give birth, their children fall at the feet of trees and in lonely places. Some fools who are deceived by desire, wishing for a livelihood, think, I shall earn my living as a soldier. Then, although afraid of losing their lives, they go to war. Others become slaves for the sake of profit. Some lustful people even cut their bodies. Others impale themselves on the points of sticks. Some stab themselves with daggers, and others burn themselves. Such things as these are quite apparent. Due to the torment involved in collecting it, protecting, and finally losing it, I should realize wealth to be fraught with infinite problems. Those who are distracted by their attachment to it have no opportunity to gain freedom from the misery of conditioned existence. In the same way as animals drawing carriages are only able to eat a few mouthfuls of grass, likewise desirous people have many disadvantages such as these and little profit. And since even animals can obtain this little profit, those who are pained by their previous actions waste these leisures and endowments so difficult to find for the sake of something trivial that is not so scarce. The objects of desire will certainly perish, and then I shall fall into hellish states, but Buddhahood itself is attained with just 1/1,000,000th of the difficulty. Involved in continually exhausting myself for the sake of what is not very great, hence the desirous experience greater than misery those following the awakening of life, but for them there is no awakening. When having contemplated the miseries of hell, it will be clear that there is nothing comparable to the harm caused to desirous beings by weapons, poison, fire, ravines, and foes. The joys of giving up a worldly life. Having in this way developed disillusion with desire, I should generate joy for solitude. The fortunate ones stroll in peaceful forests, devoid of disputes and disturbing conceptions. They live in joyous houses of vast flat stones, cooled by the sandal-scented moonlight, fanned by the peaceful silent forest breeze, thinking of what is of benefit to others. They dwell for as long as they wish in empty houses, at the feet of trees and in caves. Having abandoned the pain of clinging to and guarding possessions, they abide independent, free of care. Living as they choose, desireless, having no ties with anyone, even the powerful have difficulty finding a life as happy and content as this. Training in relative bodhicitta. Having in such ways as these thought about the excellence of solitude, I should completely pacify distorted conceptions and meditate on the bodhicitta. First of all, I should make an effort to meditate upon the equality between self and others. I should protect all beings as I do myself, because we are all equal in wanting pleasure and not wanting pain. Although there are many different parts and aspects, such as the hands, as a body that is to be protected, they are one. Likewise, all the different sentient beings in their pleasure and their pain have a wish to be happy that is the same as mine. The suffering that I experience does not cause any harm to others, but that suffering is mine because of my conceiving of myself as I. Thereby it becomes unbearable. Likewise, the misery of others does not befall me. Nevertheless, by conceiving of others as I, their suffering becomes mine. Therefore, it too should be hard to bear. Hence, I should dispel the misery of others, because it is suffering just like my own. And I should benefit others, because they are sentient beings just like myself. When both myself and others are similar in that we wish to be happy, what is so special about me? Why do I strive for my happiness alone? And when both myself and others are similar in that we do not wish to suffer, what is so special about me? Why do I protect myself and not others? But why should I protect them if their suffering does not cause me any harm? Then why protect myself against future suffering if it causes me no harm now? It is a mistaken conception to think that I shall experience the suffering of my next life, for it is another person who dies and another that will be reborn. Surely, whenever there is suffering, the sufferer must protect himself from it. But the suffering of the foot is not that of the hand. Why then does it protect it? Although this may not be justified, it is done because of grasping at a self. But surely, whatever is not justified for myself or others should at all costs be rejected. Such things as a continuum and an aggregation are false in the same way as a rosary and an army. There is no real owner of suffering. Therefore, who has control over it? Being no inherent owner of suffering, there can be no distinction at all between that of myself and others. Thus I shall dispel it because it hurts. Why am I so certain that I shouldn't eliminate the suffering of others? But since neither the suffering nor the sufferer truly exist, why should I turn away the misery of all? There is no ground for argument, for if I prevent my own sufferings, surely I should prevent the sufferings of all. If not, since I'm just like the other sentient beings, I should not prevent my own suffering either. But since this compassion will bring me much misery, why should I exert myself to develop it? Should I contemplate the suffering of living creatures? How could the misery of compassion be more? If by one person's suffering, the suffering of many would be destroyed, surely kind-hearted people would accept it for the sake of themselves and others. How to train in exchanging self and others. Thus the Bodhisattva Supushpachandra, although aware of the harm the king would cause him, accepted his own suffering in order to eradicate the miseries of many. Thus, because he loves to pacify the pain of others, he whose mind is attuned in this way would enter even the deepest hell, just as a wild goose plunges into a lotus pool. Will not the ocean of joy, that shall exist when all beings are free, be sufficient for me? What am I doing wishing for my liberation alone? Therefore, although working for the benefit of others, I should not be conceited or consider myself wonderful, and because of the joy there is in solely doing this, I should have no hope for any ripening effect. Therefore, just as I protect myself from unpleasant things, however small, in the same way I should act towards others with a compassionate and caring mind. Exchanging self for others. Although the basis is quite impersonal, through constant familiarity, I have come to regard the drops of sperm and blood of others as I. So in the same way, why should I be unable to regard the bodies of others as I? Hence it is not difficult to see that my body is also that of others. Having seen the mistakes in cherishing myself, and the ocean of good in cherishing others, I shall completely reject all selfishness and accustom myself to accepting others. In the same way as the hands and so forth are regarded as limbs of the body, likewise, why are embodied creatures not regarded as limbs of life? Through acquaintance has the thought of I arisen towards this impersonal body, so in a similar way, why should it not arise towards other living beings? When I work in this way for the sake of others, I should not let conceit or the feeling that I am wonderful arise. It is just like feeding myself. I hope for nothing in return. Therefore, just as I protect myself from unpleasant things, however slight, in the same way I should habituate myself to have a compassionate and caring mind for others. It is out of his great compassion that the Lord Avalokiteshvara has even blessed his name to dispel the nervousness of being among other people. I should not run away from what is difficult, for by the power of familiarity I may be made unhappy even when someone whose name once frightened me is not around. The path of a Bodhisattva. Thus, whoever wishes to quickly afford protection to both himself and other beings should practice that holy secret, the exchanging of self for others. Because of attachment to my body, even a small object of fear frightens me. So who would not revile as an enemy this body that gives rise to fear? By wishing for a means to remedy the hunger, thirst, and sickness of the body, I might kill birds, fish, and deer, and loiter by the sides of roads to rob others. If, for the sake of its profit and comfort, I would kill even my father and mother and steal the property of the triple gem, then I would undoubtedly proceed to burn in the flames of the deepest hell. Therefore, what wise man would desire, protect, and venerate this body? Who would not scorn it and regard it as an enemy? If I give this, what shall I have left to enjoy? Such selfish thinking is the way of the ghosts. If I enjoy this, what shall I have left to give? Such selfless thinking is a quality of the gods. If for my own sake I cause harm to others, I shall be tormented in hellish realms, but if for the sake of others I cause harm to myself, I shall acquire all that is magnificent. By holding myself in high esteem, I shall find myself in unpleasant realms, ugly and stupid. But should this attitude be shifted to others, I shall acquire honors in a joyful realm. If I employ others for my own purposes, I myself shall experience servitude. But if I use myself for the sake of others, I shall experience only lordliness. Whatever joy there is in the world, all comes from desiring others to be happy. And whatever suffering there is in the world, all comes from desiring myself to be happy. But what need is there to say much more? The immature work for their own benefit. The Buddhas work for the benefit of others. Just look at the difference between them. If I do not actually exchange my happiness for the sufferings of others, I shall not attain the state of Buddhahood, and even in cyclic existence shall have no joy. Let alone what is beyond this world, because of my servants doing no work, and because of my masters giving me no pay, even the needs of this life will not be fulfilled. By rejecting the method that establishes both foreseeable and unforeseeable joy, I cast magnificent delight completely aside, and then, because of inflicting misery on others, in confusion, I seize hold of unbearable pain. If all the injury, fear, and pain in this world arise from grasping at a self, then what use is that great ghost to me? If I do not completely forsake it, I shall be unable to put an end to suffering, just as I cannot avoid being burnt if I do not cast aside the fire that I hold. Therefore, in order to allay the harms inflicted upon me, and in order to pacify the sufferings of all others, I shall give myself up to others, and cherish them as I do my very self. I am under the control of others. Of this mind you must be certain. Now, except for benefiting every creature, you must not think of anything else. For my own sake, I should not do anything. With these eyes and so forth that I have left at the disposal of others, it is quite incorrect to do anything with them which is contrary to the benefit of others. Thus, sentient beings should be my main concern. Whatever I behold upon my body, I should rob and use for the benefit of others. Exchanging oneself with someone in a superior position. Considering lesser beings and so forth as myself, and considering myself as the other. Likewise, I should meditate upon envy, competitiveness, and self-importance, with a mind free of distorted concepts. He is honored, but I am not. I have not found wealth such as he. He is praised, but I am despised. He is happy, but I suffer. I have to do all the work, while he remains comfortably at rest. He is renowned as great in this world, but I as inferior, with no good qualities at all. But what do you mean I have no good qualities? I have all good qualities. Compared to many, he is inferior, and compared to many, I am high. The deteriorated state of my morals and views is not due to me, but due to my disturbing conceptions. In whatever way he is able, he should heal me. Willingly, I shall accept any discomfort involved. But I'm not being healed by him, so why does he belittle me? What use are his good qualities to me? Although he has good qualities, he does not benefit me. With no compassion for the beings who dwell in the poisonous mouth of evil realms, externally he is proud of his good qualities and wishes to put down the wise. Exchanging oneself with someone in an equal position. In order that I may excel, he who is regarded as equal to me, I shall definitely strive to attain material gain and honor myself, even by such means as verbal dispute. By all means I shall make clear to the entire world all the good qualities I have, but I shall not let anyone hear of any good qualities he may have. Also I shall hide all my faults. I will be venerated, but not he. I will find a great deal of material gain. I will be honored, but not he. For a long time I shall look with pleasure at his being made inferior. He will become the laughing stock of all, regarded among everyone as an object of scorn and derision. It is said that this deluded one is trying to compete with me, but how can he be equal with me in learning, intelligence, form, class, or wealth? Exchanging oneself with someone in an inferior position. Thus, upon hearing of my good qualities that have been made well known to all, I shall thoroughly enjoy the satisfaction of the pleasant tingling sensation that occurs. Even though he has some possessions, if he is working for me, I shall give him just enough to live on, and by force I will take the rest. His happiness and comfort will decline, and I shall always cause him harm, for hundreds of times in this cycle of rebirth he has caused harm to me. Because of desiring to benefit yourself, O mind, all the weariness you have gone through over countless past eons has only succeeded in achieving misery. Therefore, I shall definitely engage myself in working for the benefit of others. For since the words of the Mighty One are infallible, I shall behold its advantages in the future. If in the past I had practiced this act of exchanging self for others, a situation such as this, devoid of the magnificence and bliss of a Buddha, could not possibly have come about. Therefore, just as I have come to hold as I these drops of sperm and blood of others, likewise through acquaintance, I should also come to regard all others. Having thoroughly examined myself to see whether I am really working for others or not, I shall steal whatever appears on my body and use it for the benefit of others. I'm happy, but others are sad. I'm high, but others are low. I benefit myself, but not others. Why am I not envious of myself? I must separate myself from happiness and take upon myself the sufferings of others. Why am I doing this now? In this way, I should examine myself for faults. Although others may do something wrong, I should transform it into a fault of my own. But should I do something even slightly wrong, I shall openly admit it to many people. By further describing the renown of others, I should make it outshine my own. Just like the lowest kind of servant, I should employ myself for the benefit of all. Summary of the practice. I should not praise my naturally fault-ridden self for some temporary good quality it may have. I shall never let even a few people know of any good qualities I may possess. In brief, for the sake of living creatures, may all the harms I have selfishly caused to others descend upon me. I should not be dominating and aggressive, acting in a self-righteous, arrogant way. Instead, like a newly married bride, I should be bashful, timid, and restrained. Thus, O mind, you should think and abide in this way, and not act selfishly as before. If, under the control of self-cherishing, you transgress this code, your selfishness will be your end. However, mind, although you have been advised, if you do not act in a like manner, then since all misfortunes will entrust themselves to you, you will only be destined to destruction. That previous time when you could overcome me is now past. Now I see your nature and your faults, and wherever you go, I shall destroy your arrogance. I should immediately cast aside all thoughts to work for my own sake, but having sold you to others, I shall not become discouraged, but shall offer up all your strength to others. If, having become unconscientious, I do not give you to all living beings, it is certain that you will deliver me to the guardians of hell. For ages have you dealt with me like this, and I have suffered long. But now, recalling all my grudges, I shall overcome your selfish thoughts. Likewise, if I wish to be happy, I should not be happy with myself. And similarly, if I wish to be protected, I should constantly protect all others. To whatever degree I take great care of this body, to that degree I shall fall into a state of extreme helplessness. Having fallen in this way, if my desires are unable to be fulfilled, even by everything upon this earth, what else will be able to satisfy them? Being unable to fulfill them, though desiring to do so, disturbing conceptions and a dissatisfied mind will ensue. But if I do not depend on any material things, the exhaustion of my good fortune will be unknown. Therefore, I shall never create an opportunity for the desires of the body to increase, for whatever I do not grasp as attractive, these are the best of all possessions. In the end, my body will turn to dust, unable to move by itself. It will be propelled by other forces. Why do I grasp this unbearable and unclean form as I? Whether it lives or whether it dies, what use is this machine to me? How is it different from a clod of earth? Or why do I not dispel this pride of it being I and mine? Having accumulated suffering for no purpose, because of my honoring and serving this body, what use is attachment and anger? For this thing that is similar to a piece of wood, whether I'm caring for my body in this way, or whether it is being eaten by vultures, it has no attachment or hatred towards these things. Why then am I so attached to it? If my body knows no anger when derided, and no pleasure when praised, for what reason am I wearing myself out like this? But I want this body of mine, both it and I are friends. But since all beings want their bodies, why do I not find joy in theirs? The resolve to raise bodhicitta. Therefore, in order to benefit all beings, I shall give up this body without an attachment, but although it may have many faults, I should look after it while experiencing the results of my previous actions. So enough of this childish behavior, I shall follow in the steps of the wise, and having recalled the advice concerning conscientiousness, I shall turn away sleep and mental dullness. Just like the compassionate sons of the conqueror, I shall patiently accept what I have to do. For if I do not make a constant effort day and night, when will my misery ever come to an end? Therefore, in order to dispel the obscurations, I shall withdraw my mind from mistaken ways, and constantly place it in equipoise upon the perfect object.